Does Trump deserve the Peace Prize? Now we got Piers Morgan caping for Trump per usual. The MAGA fake moderate um, don't like Piers Morgan at all. I dislike Piers Morgan more than I dislike Hassan Piker. I want to be very clear about that. And I'm curious. I don't even know what this debate would entail. So we shall see.
I mean, it's always good when war ends. It's good when conflict ends. It's good when hostages are brought home. I think, regardless of how that came about, I think it's always a good thing to celebrate.
What's the down?
Wow, Destiny gave a four front concrete, not morally questionable answer. He's growing, guys. He's growing up.
Side view.
Well, I mean, it depends on what part we're talking about. I think that, if you're looking for some kind of comprehensive peace between Israel and Palestine, this deal doesn't even come close to it. Remember, this is the second time the president has told us there will be peace in the Middle East. The first time was the Abraham Accords, and clearly that didn't work. So, Trump is really good at putting together these plans that are not plans at all. They're just like backbones of plans.
But when you say it didn't work, the Abraham Accords, I mean, it stood with the countries that signed up to the Abraham Accords. They have had a good working relationship with Israel as a consequence of that. Saudi Arabia has indicated it would like to join them, but it can't when this war was raging, understandably. They're looking to expand the Abraham Accords. The amount of unity from Arab countries and Muslim countries like Turkey to this peace plan has been pretty unanimous in the region. So I'm not quite sure if this plan is unworkable, what would have been a better plan?
I mean, anything that actually leads to a long-term permanent solution between Israel and Palestine. I mean, when you say the Abraham Accords worked, I mean, that's because they were involving countries that weren't really fighting with each other. I think that a lot of the Israeli peace process with other Arab states is just trying to extricate Palestine from any overall peace arrangement with any other country. The Abraham Accords did that. They kicked the can down the road. October 7th happened. It was just like the second intifada after the failures of Oslo 1 and 2. And now we're getting a deal that kind of looks like an Oslo 3 peace framework where it's a bunch of vague stuff. Nobody really knows what it means. And basically Israel has like infinite reign to kind of like play with it how they want. Like, what does it mean to de-radicalize the Palestinian Authority or de-radicalize the Gaza Strip? Who knows?
I'm with Destiny here, and I do think that's very interesting. How though I don't want to come out swinging immediately. Did I even introduce this video? Oh, we're reacting to Destiny on Piers Morgan, the fake moderate. My thing with this situation, with this deal, and the comment or the rhetoric that is being espoused by Piers, I don't know if this is MAGA rhetoric in general, but utilizing the idea of the Abraham Accords and tried to pose a question on what would have been better. My issue with that is that these are the same people that go after Biden when it comes down to the withdrawal of Afghanistan, and they really criticize them. And when we make the same type of claim, like, we just wanted American soldiers out of Afghanistan, it's really hard to see like what would have happened better. All Donald Trump says, or all Donald Trump has to say is that, oh yeah, that wouldn't have happened on my watch. And then everybody in MAGA believed him, regardless of any substantive claims being made there, just blind notions, right? So that is pretty common in MAGA. So if we're going into the details of circumstances, which I appreciate Destiny kind of outlining that detail in very particular, that this Abraham Accords, in terms of stopping the conflict, did nothing of the sorts. In terms of peace in the Middle East, the October 7th happened. A lot of people say that one of the big things that played into October 7th and the rise of sentiment that needed to, attack Israel is also the movement of Jerusalem, or the declaration of Jerusalem being the embassy, I believe. From my memory, it's been a while since I did an Israel-Palestine deep dive. Whatever you may want to say, all we know is that some people do believe that Donald Trump helped kind of not instigate, but continue the flame of ire happening between the two. And I'm not going to make that case here because there's always so much nuance to these type of conflicts. But using that as a means to say that he established peace in the Middle East when he didn't, and it didn't really do anything definitive, is kind of foolish, right? It doesn't really make any sense. The war kicked off. And unless you want to make blind claims that just because Biden was president, it was all his fault, even though you can't provide a causal link to anything that he did as a catalyst. But all right, I'll continue.
Emily Austin, I felt a lot of joy seeing the hostages after 2 years of utter, unrelenting hell finally being released, 20 of them back to their families, and the scenes with the reunion with their families, incredibly moving. I defy anyone with a heart to not be moved by it. And I also found the scenes of jubilation amongst the Palestinians and seeing families returning, albeit back to their bombarded homes, with at least the hope now of being able to rebuild their lives, hopefully. All of that I found very euphoric. I have to say, I did blush, not at Donald Trump being celebrated in the Knesset, but by the kind of mass adulation for Netanyahu, because I don't think he showered himself in any glory this year. Explain why you think I'm wrong.
Style
Emily
and substance.
Well, honestly, I always say my fight as an American Jew is to make sure that Israel and Jews are safe and there's not all this false information going around in America. But needless to say, Israel.
I have something to say about her. It depends on what she's about to say next. Go ahead.
Very torn between supporting Netanyahu or not. There's a joke that Israelis support Trump more than they support their own prime minister, which right now definitely feels that way in Israel. I will add, I don't think Netanyahu gets any credit when he does something right at all. I think whether it's something as precise as a beeper attack, he'll never get the pat on the back for doing things the right way. When it's his involvement in signing the agreement and it's Hamas who wasn't signing it, Bibi will always take the hits for that. Now, whether you like him or not, I just feel like you need to give credit where it's due.
But I think, to be honest, I thought, Emily, he did get a lot of credit for the Hezbollah pager attack. That was widely seen.
I would like to have thought so, but I would
just say, just to finish that point, I would say that he was widely credited with having launched a very precise, very carefully planned, expertly executed dismantling of Hezbollah using pages that did not lead to mass civilian casualties. Similarly, I thought the attack on Iran, which many people thought would be catastrophic and launch World War III and so on, actually turned out to be a short-lived war, which was very precise again in its targeting, and again did not involve mass civilian casualties. The problem comes with the way he has prosecuted the war in Gaza, which has been to do none of those things, to be not remotely surgical, but to be, in many people's eyes, utterly indiscriminate, leveling 80% of Gaza to the point of total destruction, killing 70,000 people.
Oh, a nuanced take from Piers Morgan. Okay.
Including many tens of thousands of civilians, including over 20,000 kids. It seems to be a completely different way of waging war against your enemy to the way that he has rightly, in my opinion, got due credit for the way he dealt with Iran and Hezbollah.
Yeah, I'm a numbers girl. I like to think not emotionally, but with fact. And I recently found something really interesting, and I'd love to hear your opinion on it. According to UNRWA's numbers, which I'm reluctant to trust to begin with, according to them, 73,000 structures were destroyed, right? 68,000 people were dead. By the way, I'll add the Hamas spokesman said 58,000 militants were killed, so that math is not really making sense. But per UNRWA numbers, if that is in fact true and there were 73,000 structures destroyed and 68,000 people dead, then their ratio of structure to person, I'm talking buildings, was less than one person. It's 0.9 people per structure.
Emily, you've seen the pictures. You've seen, look, one of my biggest bugbears about this is Netanyahu refusing, to this day, to allow international journalists to operate freely in Gaza to verify what's been going on there. But we've all seen the very few aerial shots that have come out in the last few weeks and months, and they've been utterly devastating. This idea there's just a few structures or one for one and so on, it's for the birds. They have leveled 3/4 of Gaza.
Piers, I can't deny the facts. I saw the videos of Gaza. Anyone who's denying that it's inhabitable is lying to you. However, I will add that when Hamas has done a phenomenal job since 2005, embedding themselves into civilian infrastructure, into schools, into nurseries, into hospitals. Al-Shifa Hospital was a Hamas HQ, for God's sake. They don't really leave Israel with much of a choice. Listen, I know you're critical of Netanyahu, but I've yet to hear anyone give me a better answer than if they were in your shoes and you are fighting a military that has fully embedded themselves into infrastructure that belongs to civilians, do you now lose a war and surrender because they've made it really, really difficult to attack? I'll tell you what Israel has done. They've done them the courtesy of dropping leaflets every single time they're going to make a strike, which, by the way, I'll add, no other military will ever do that in any form of war. They have let aid in despite people.
Yeah, I've heard this talking point a lot from Israel's side, and I do think there is some merit to it. But the biggest thing that you can't this falls on hollow ears is, and I wonder if Piers is going to bring it up, is there was a ceasefire put in place before this one. Why did Israel stop? And I don't think I've heard a good answer about that, because ultimately, I'm just gonna leave. I'm not much into, conspiracy theories or anything like that, but it seemed very suspect. Out of legitimately nowhere, Israel decided to break the ceasefire right before the election started. It was very weird, and if their reasoning was hollow as fuck. So it made it very clear to me that they didn't want to end the ceasefire, or they wanted a ceasefire that benefited them much more than it benefited Palestinians. And at that point, you can't look at Netanyahu in a positive light.
Denying that, that's a fact. They've let tons of food and aid in. Again, no other military will ever do that.
Well, they waged a 3-month. They waged a 3-month illegal blockade of food and aid in February this year, which was a breach of all conventions, and is, in my opinion, was a war crime. I mean, I think a lot of stuff.
Before those 3 months blockade, they allowed enough aid in to last them.
Well, you know what? It should never have happened. It was.
You can't go past February. You can't go past that the ceasefire deal that started in January. No, the reason at this point, all of them arguments fall on deaf ears after Israel broke the ceasefire deal.
You cannot do that.
Why is it Israel's responsibility to feed them to begin with if they're in a war?
It's not. It's a war crime. It's a war crime to have a blockade. That's the point.
That's a very, very scary way of putting that. Why is it Israel's job to feed the innocent civilians that's not involved in it? That's a very terrifying way to look at people. Not gonna lie.
March 7th was a war crime too.
Yes, it was. Yes, you won't get any argument from me. I've always said that Hamas are a despicable terror group who committed one of the worst atrocities of modern times, and they can have no role
let's talk about
in
Trump.
Gaza going forward. It's not just how the news is told, but what's left out, which concerns me.
I actually like Ground News. Ground News, sponsor me. I don't have nearly as much views, but sponsor me anyway.
On the only democracy in the region to actually behave at a higher level. And I've always taken issue with Israel's claim that they behaved on a superior moral plinth to any standing army. I disagree with you. Well, the best way to prove it is to let the journalists in. It's very easy to make all sorts of claims.
Journalists will have died in Gaza because when they are going to announce that they're striking and Hamas is not going to allow people to flee, Hamas would have given the journalists the courtesy of fleeing.
Emily, that's not the concern of the Israeli government. They're not concerned about the safety and welfare of journalists. It is down to the individual media companies who employ these journalists about their risk assessment. But the fact remains that no journalists from CNN, from BBC, from Reuters, from AP, from any reputable news agencies are allowed into Gaza to report freely on what's happened. And until they are, the suspicion remains that they are up to stuff which they don't want the world to see. So we will see. I fear we're going to uncover a lot of very bad stuff.
Coming out of Gaza left and right. I think the safety of the journalists was their concern.
Well, they've killed a record number of journalists on Palestinian journalists. So I don't think
unfortunately, Piers, in Gaza, they throw on a vest that says journalists.
Yeah, but actually many of them were genuine journalists who were not members of Hamas, who were brutally killed. And that is an outrage.
Are you aware Israel drops leaflets every time they're going to commit an airstrike and Hamas does not let them evacuate?
I listen. You won't get me defending Hamas about any of this, but the idea that all the 200 plus journalists had it coming because they were fake journalists is bullshit.
I never said that.
Well, you're implying it when you're saying they're wearing the shirt.
The journalists they all had working cell phones, by the way. The claim that Gaza has no electricity was completely a lie. The leaflets warned them. They literally had sirens letting them know to leave. How much more of a warning should Israel give before they're going to strike? Which, again, I'm going to repeat.
Okay, look, I'm going to bring other panelists in. I think it's more not about the warnings. It's more about how much more bombing does it take to make your point. Let me bring in Tara Palmieri. I mean, Tara, this has been a very, I've tried to be fair with this war from the start. I always recognized Israel's right to defend itself. I felt it had a duty to defend itself. I think any other country in the world that was attacked in that way would have done something similar, certainly early on. It's the scale of what happened, particularly this year, to me became increasingly indefensible. When you start blockading and starving a civilian population.
Yeah, it became pretty on a hinge after the ceasefire deal, huh?
In the way that Israel was doing, when you just carry on just relentless bombardment and destroying most of Gaza, when you're not achieving your aims of hostage release or defeating Hamas, none of this made any sense to me. And when you have people like Smodrich and Ben-Gvir on these,
I mean, I think there's some good points here. All right, let's move
in here. There's been an interesting split in Trump's support. The base, it seems to me, the MAGA base is increasingly anti-Israel.
And so what I'm saying is that I think it's inconsequential. I think people are jumping out. They don't have to feed these people. They could have starved them to death if they wanted to, but they didn't.
That would be a war crime.
You could say it's a war crime anyway.
Well, no, I'm not saying it would be a war crime.
Innocent people in Israel.
Yeah, but Brandon, it would be a war crime.
You could say it doesn't matter. They killed all these people.
It does matter.
Hamas is embedding themselves. Hamas is embedding themselves in the population.
Yeah, Hamas are disgusting. Hamas are disgusting, and they commit endless war crimes.
But what are you expecting to do, Piers?
Yeah, but
how do you fight a war?
I'm sorry,
but
oh my God, Piers is fighting with MAGA? Wait, what? That's unbelievable. That's unbelievable. I mean, it took Israel Palestine. I wonder, I'm just gonna let it go. Like I said, if someone is actually doing some good talking points, I won't attack them. That is my new
there are international rules relating to warfare, and if Israel breaks them, they are as culpable as Hamas or anybody else.
Did Netanyahu commit war crimes trying to fight this war when you have Hamas embedded in?
I believe he may well have done. Yes, I do believe that.
What else is he going to do then? Not fight?
No, you can fight, but you have to abide by the rules of war.
Well, what are you going to do?
Well, this is why we have it. Yeah, but Brandon,
nobody's answering his question.
This is why we had the Geneva. This is why we had the Geneva Convention set up after World War II.
All right. Okay. Do I need a? Brandon attacks. Who does he attack?
Why are we called
he attacks the Palestinian. I was more here for Destiny, but Destiny's not even saying anything.
Unlike the big box.
And they killed innocent people. And then she wants Hamas to be fighting and killing innocent people. And then when Israel come back and whoop their socks off, she act like it's a genocide. They haven't been committing a genocide. I don't know what world you live in or any other person that's living and think this is a genocide. You don't feed people in a genocide. You don't provide aid in a genocide. The population doesn't grow during a genocide. 75 years, the population has grown. What are you saying? Are you guys smoking or what? 75 years, the population has grown. That's not a genocide.
That's not what the definition of genocide. Could you even define genocide? You clearly can't even define genocide.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Name another genocide.
Let me just say something. The reality, and I've learned this by talking to genocide scholars, is that no country or state has ever been found guilty.
I think it's wise for Destiny not to participate in this conversation anymore. There's really no defending Israel at this point.
Guilty of waging a genocide. I was surprised by that. I didn't know that. The bar for a genocide is extremely high. And that's why, so far, no country has ever been found guilty or convicted of committing or waging a genocide. I didn't know that before this war broke out, but I do know that.
No country? No country? Is that true? There's no way we were saying Nazi Germany wasn't committing a genocide, right? Or some of the Asian countries back in the day. I don't know if that's true. I don't care enough to look it up.
So the bar is very, very high for even in Rwanda, they did not in the end classify that as a genocide. Now we might have a view that that's wrong, but my view of what's happened in Israel is that if you believe people like Small,
I think the biggest thing when it comes to genocide is like the intentional want, and it's hard to prove intention, but intentional want to eliminate a group of people based off their oh my God, I'm so bad. I just got sad. Based off their identity, basically, and just the very clear intent to eliminate them.
to Ben-Gvir, they were operating on a basis of ethnic cleansing, seizing the opportunity created by this appalling attack to actually expel Palestinians, kick them out of their homes, and take their land. That's ethnic cleansing, but I wouldn't categorize that as a genocide, which is how many people are trying to do, given that Barack Obama got the Nobel.
All right. So now let's get into the Destiny portion, where it's time for Piers to start teaming up with the Zionists.
Peace Prize 8 months into his tenure in his first presidency for basically making a couple of fancy speeches. But it seems people don't want to give him the Nobel Peace Prize because he's Donald Trump.
Yeah, I don't think Donald Trump has an interest in peace. He just wants to get rid of problems and move on to the next thing. Again, we already had peace in the Middle East with the Abraham Accords, and we saw where that led. Now we've got whatever the ceasefire is, the 20-point plan. I think is kind of a joke. I mean, he came in saying that he was going to figure out all these issues on day one. He hasn't. He let Israel wage basically maximally the war they wanted to wage. They were able to eliminate essentially every enemy, all the top brass in Hamas. Like twice, they bombed Qatar. They got the United States to bomb Iran. They, Syrian regime, Bashar al-Assad, his regime collapsed. They killed Nasrallah. They got, rid of Hezbollah. The idea that Trump has come in and brokered peace after Israel has essentially eliminated all enemies, and then the peace that was brokered is this insanely one-sided favorable deal to the Israelis. I mean, I feel like they're just setting themselves up for some other terrorist attack in the future, and then we're all going to be scratching our heads, looking around like, I can't believe this is happening again.
Tara,
Destiny,
Here we go. And especially when you consider the fact that this ceasefire deal was built off the foundations of the ceasefire deal created by the Joe Biden administration. So are we going to give Joe Biden oh, no, probably not, because they broke the ceasefire deal. We have to see how this manifests, and it definitely doesn't seem like it's manifesting in a positive direction for the Palestinians. It definitely benefits Israel. So, of course, Israel wants to give Donald Trump a Nobel Peace Prize.
you have Trump derangement syndrome. Congratulations.
Well, at least Destiny's here prepared to talk about it. I mean, the people...
You know what? Nadine is right. $7,000.
Oh, so she is a Trumpy. Okay. So you notice how... So this is what I was waiting to say. You notice how all the MAGA women look very similar? Why is that? Why are they all look like a Barbie doll? It's kind of cringe, huh? They all of them look like a Barbie doll. And I'm not saying that in a positive way. Because they're trying to appeal to a group of people who want to see a very specific type of woman. I don't know, man. I don't know.
I see it now. There's the... Is that a monthly payment or a yearly payment?
Honestly, I wish I got it. I really, really wish I did. If someone else is making it, I would love the directions of how I can get the money too. But thus far, I haven't been offered, nor have I received. But thank you again for a baseless accusation.
Okay,
to be clear, you just basically accused me of having Trump derangement syndrome. I think my criticism is pretty pointed. There is no concrete plan for what this is going to look like afterwards. Israel got to end the war. They got to eliminate all enemies. They're getting to do damage to the infrastructure of the West.
By the way, they didn't. Hamas is everywhere, all over Gaza, flaunting how they've won this.
What has Israel been doing for 2 years? They're still everywhere. How many more places need to bomb?
Do you see the videos coming out of Gaza that Hamas is cheering and parading?
Then I don't know how much more time you need. I don't know how many more bombs you have to drop. At some point, your war is over. You figured it out. You can't.
At some point, Hamas needs to surrender and demilitarize. Did you ever think about that?
Oh, well, a complete surrender demilitarized would have been a good thing for Trump to arrange more than, a year into his presidency. That's why I don't give him any credit for it.
All right, Tara, let me bring you in here because you're probably, I would say, the neutral member of the panel in many ways. It does seem there is a double standard about Trump. Nobel Peace Prize credit for forging peace. Do you think there is?
You create a double standard when it comes to Trump all the time, Piers Morgan. It's just let me chill. I hate Piers, but I can't just keep on attacking him.
It's a double standard?
I do think, like you said, noted that President Obama got the Nobel Peace Prize in 8 months. It's probably more of a symbol in a lot of ways than what it actually represents. Will this actually lead to peace? I think he should apply again because the application date was around January when he was not even inaugurated. How could he be, how could he put his name forward before he's even president yet? And even in this case, it's a little early days. I think we need to see if there is actual peace. I mean, next week, this could all be broken. As we've said, Hamas has yet to give up its arms. Gaza.
I don't believe anybody Piers says is neutral. I don't believe anything he says. I don't know this woman, so I have no opinion. But in terms of Piers trying to frame her as neutral, I don't fucking believe your bullshit. Hell, fucking no. That's just.
It's still occupied by Israel.
Yeah, there are lots of unanswered questions. But I do find it extraordinary that Bernie Sanders, for example, so vocal.
See, she didn't say something he liked, and I was like, oh, now I have to comment. She didn't say what I wanted her to say. How dare she just not say Donald Trump deserves it? How fucking dare she? So let me comment. Let me add my 2 cents into this. Get the fuck out of here, Piers.
Cool. about Trump, right? Last week, in the last 7 days, 16 anti-Trump posts on his X account. He hasn't mentioned the Middle East at all. Bernie Sanders, a man who ran for president, hugely big figure in the United States political arena, hasn't mentioned this on his feed. All he's done is relentless Trump bashing about other stuff. And I'm like,
Stop bitching. You sound like a fucking pussy. What? What are you talking? Oh, Bernie Sanders didn't congratulate my Lord and Savior, my best friend, Donald Trump. Shut the fuck up. Shut up. Shut up. There's plenty of Democrats that I have, but you care about Bernie Sanders. Oh my God. Get the fuck out of here. He's trying his best with this Donald Trump Nobel Peace Prize campaign. My best friend got a Nobel Peace Prize. I told you, he's him. That's what Piers wants to do. Hey, I'm best friends with a Nobel Peace Prize winner. That's what he wants to do.
So transparent that. You talk about Trump derangement syndrome. How does that manifest itself? If you are a senior politician in the United States and you can't find it in yourself.
You know what? I'm going to create a new term. It's called Trump. Honestly, Trump derangement syndrome is pretty good. I'm not going to lie. I have to come up with something that's equally as good. Look at their smiles. I'm trying to think of a good one. They're smiling ear to ear. Yes. Oh, my Lord and Savior Trump. My Lord and Savior Trump. Keep on glazing him. I'm getting hard right now. I'm getting hard. I'm getting horny from you to glazing Trump. I'm gonna have to keep thinking about it.
Even Hillary Clinton gave Trump credit for this because she knows how difficult it is to get to this place.
Yeah.
I just think to Bernie Sanders.
Why the fuck are you bringing up Bernie Sanders? Who the fuck was talking about Bernie Sanders? You just really just want some reason to talk about someone on the left. Freaking Joe Biden, Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton. But you out of nowhere, you just bring up Bernie fucking Sanders. What? I'm just gonna call it Trump cock sucking syndrome. That's what I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna be vulgar too. TCSS. Trump cock sucking syndrome. Yeah. It doesn't hit as hard. I need to do something better. But for now, we're just gonna call it.
I asked him directly. What's stopping you saying something? Anything? You're very vocal all day long about Trump, and the reason is he doesn't want to say anything positive about Trump. So he'd rather not talk about this incredibly historic moment in the Middle East, which is, an example of just how unhinged a lot of Trump's opponents become.
Well, this is all political theater at the backdrop.
Well, let's all respond.
They say that since I worked full time, I wouldn't be able to.
Donald Trump never praises his opponents ever, and you're bitching about other people. He constantly demonizes them and thinks that they should get locked up. Get off your high horse and get Donald Trump's dick out of your mouth, Piers. Jesus Christ.
I mean, ultimately, I think it's the fact that it feeds President Trump's ego. They find him detestable. The fact that he needs these plaudits and awards. They don't like him as a person. It's political, obviously. But yeah, this is a big deal. He got Benjamin Netanyahu in the Oval Office to apologize to Qatar.
Huge.
He created a relationship with the Israeli prime minister that no other president has in decades. And he was able to almost strong arm this moment that we got to right now. And yes, he deserves credit for it. But the whole question is, does it hold?
Strong arm? Netanyahu felt so comfortable with Trump, he bombed Qatar and then let Trump know after because he thought that Trump was going to be on his side, which he was initially. And then Qatar gave Donald Trump a airplane and then started investing heavily into the United States. And there was some other deal that they did with Qatar. And then Donald Trump said, Netanyahu, now you got to apologize. And then he created a ceasefire deal that heavily skewed Netanyahu. Like, okay, sorry, we didn't have a president that was just going to capitulate to people who strokes his egos and sucks his cock and gives him billion-dollar gifts. Like, the fuck? Is that the standard for presidencies? create ceasefire deals that benefit only one side and receive gifts and pleasantries and receive money in a meme coin from one side? Like, is that like what the fuck are we doing right now? What are we doing? Is bribery the way we strong arm our enemy, our allies, or what are we talking about right now?
Up, and that's why this year-long evaluation for his Nobel Peace Prize makes the most sense. He probably hates that he has to wait for it, but I think it will show if this holds up. And I think
we slightly lost you there, Tori. Sorry, we lost you just for a couple of seconds there.
On this issue, and that there.
Sorry, just repeat your last point because you were frozen.
Oh yeah, I'll just finish on this last point if I have. Yeah. My last point is that I hope that.
I'm not hating on her, by the way. I have no idea who she is. I don't know what she does. I mean, it's a very nuanced take. Let's be very clear. If depending on her position, this is probably the only take she can make. So I don't hate her. I don't know who she is. I'm just saying what I'm saying because Piers Morgan's drooling with cum on down his cheek, and I need to humble him a little bit.
At this period of time that it will take for them to decide if he deserves the Nobel Peace Prize, will keep him fixed on the Middle East, and will not just be something he can check off and say I did this. That it will make sure that there's actual follow through on this 20-point plan.
Yeah, Brandon, do you feel there's a double standard when it comes to giving Trump credit for this kind of thing?
Of course he does.
Oh,
He's a dumb. He has TCSS too.
Is a real thing. I think these people.
Trump cocksucking is a real thing.
If there was a Democrat that negotiated this, I don't care how much I don't like these Democrats. I'd be like,
bitch, Joe Biden. Destiny, please bring up Joe Biden. Because I bet this motherfucker did not say anything about Joe Biden's ceasefire deal. I bet. All right, come on, Destiny, lock in.
This is great, man. That's a win. If Barack Obama does something good, that was great. I like when he do things well. It's our country.
I'm not listening to this motherfucker. I'm not listening to this Trump cocksucker. All right, bullshit.
It gives you much more credibility, whoever you are, if you're prepared to just look at the big picture and give your opponent credit where they deserve it. It just gives you more credit.
People did give him credit. Stop fucking crying, you bitch. Like, what the fuck are we doing? You already said Hillary Clinton gave him credit. Bill Clinton gave him credit. Joe Biden gave him credit. Barack Obama gave him credit. Who, like, you want every fucking person to give him credit? You brought up Bernie Sanders out of no fucking where. So many people have given him credit. Why are you fucking whining like a pussy? Like, what are we doing? I know he's your best friend, and you probably, I'm not gonna finish that. I'm not gonna finish that. But like, Jesus Christ, I know Donald Trump's other best friend. I know what he did with him. Oh boy, Jesus.
Ability. I think one of the problems of social media, it's got so tribal and so toxic that even when a new fact comes out about your side, which is obviously very damaging.
All right, let's fast forward off of this.
To regulate the way giving any
give credit ending.
All right,
someone like Donald Trump, whatever he does, I just think to me they lose credibility.
I mean, I think you can give credit. Just give credit where credit is due. There's been like 6 Israel-Gaza wars. 2008, 2014, Cast-led and Protective Edge. These were huge, wars that had ceasefires after them. The conflict has been never-ending. Well, basically since the inception of the state of Israel between Israel.
Well, we've never had this number, Destiny, of Arab and Muslim countries come together to team up in this way.
They haven't come together to team up. The letter that was written, the unifying letter, all of it was, we hope that they, abide by international law.
Well, no, they endorsed the Trump plan, though.
The words that they're using are saying, we hope that something actually comes from it. But this is like all the plans that Trump had, all the trade deals.
Well, I thought
the United States has no trade deals. There is no lasting peace right now between Israel and Gaza. This is like the framework of
Well, actually, America does have a lot of new trade deals.
We have
countries.
None.
Well, actually, it has a lot.
Zero.
No, it's not true.
It's true. We have zero. It's absolutely true.
Well, the UK, you're sitting in the United Kingdom. We have a trade deal.
You do not have a trade deal.
Yes, we do.
No, there is no trade deal. These things are not one page signed and posted on Twitter. They're extensive things that encompass entire markets and tons of writing for it. Like, there's no trade deal.
We have agreed a 10% tariff on UK products to the United States. That is a trade deal.
That's not a trade deal. That's an entry on an Excel spreadsheet. A trade deal is a comprehensive market-encompassing thing that actually dictates terms that you can rely on for, decades to come. It's not a thing that can change on a whim.
But do you dispute that Trump has managed to negotiate a series of deals with countries which are, in terms of tariffs, more advantageous now to America than they were in January?
No, our prices on everything are going up.
That wasn't my question.
Streak CRM for Gmail.
Your question fucking sucked because you're trying to suck Donald Trump's cock. That's the problem. That's the problem here, buddy.
They're hurting the economy in every measurable way. Inflation is up. The amount of taxes now.
Why are stock markets at record highs?
Because the stock market always goes up. It was at a record highs under Obama. Of course it does. Every presidency.
When he launched his global tariff war, the stock market collapsed.
In the long term.
But now, having been promised Armageddon within 6 months, we've got to the point of 6 months, and the stock markets are higher than they were before he launched the tariff.
It's not as high as it should be, but the stock market will tend upwards. That's how the stock market works.
But this is the thing. It takes time. You know, like Donald Trump is making an effort to do this, and it takes time to come to fruition. I hope that you will be cheering for it to come to fruition, and that Donald Trump is going to realize some of these things that he's put into place. Some of these negotiations will go through in a better way. Don't you wish that, Destiny? I think we all want that, right?
I don't know what anybody wants. We're talking about giving the Nobel Peace Prize, hopefully, to a guy who is declaring war on his own cities. I mean, I don't know what the actual goal is for anything.
You know how ridiculous that is?
I do. I agree. It is ridiculous. I'm glad we can agree on that. For him saying he's going to go to war with Chicago,
I was watching Don Lemon. I was watching the citizen journalist Don Lemon out with his microphone, and he was talking to people in various cities about putting the National Guard on the streets. You know what they all said? To his astonishment, they were in favor of it.
I'm not holding back.
I would be too if my city was overrun by crime and gangs and shootings and stabbings and murders.
If you feel the police is under-resourced and ineffective and is not protecting you, then I think people actually have rather liked the visibility.
No fucking way. This bitch ass motherfucker Piers Morgan is saying that Donald Trump sending the military without states' approvals is something the people want. I guarantee his bitch ass would not support the royalty in the UK sending the royal, I don't know what it's called, the Royal Army, I don't know what it is, to different jurisdictions or just different districts in England, different cities, different counties in England. I guarantee you would not fucking like that. So don't fucking talk about what Americans will like. Americans don't want the federal government taking control over our areas by force. We don't fucking want that. Go fuck yourself. How about that? Go fuck yourself. That's why you lost in the Revolutionary War, bitch. Yeah, I hate Piers. Sorry. I am so mean to Piers Morgan. It's just like this guy, bro. I hate him. I hate him so much.
Of members of the National Guard on the streets. And, you know, people can call it the militarization, the creeping fascism, all these things. Or they could actually ask the people that live in those places, how do you feel about having some National Guard people on the streets? They
hate it. Yo, I'm about to crash out, bro. Ain't no fucking way. This is, oh, man, Piers. Oh, fuck. Oh, fuck. He's justifying sending the National Guard into states. Okay. There's nothing Piers can do. I'm gonna be honest. Piers Morgan would defend Donald Trump for anything. There's nothing he can do that he would get in trouble for. There's nothing he can do he would get in trouble for. Honestly, if the Epstein files release and we got video footage of him doing "You Feel Me," I swear to God, Piers will defend it. I swear to God, he will defend it.
Actually feel comforted by the visibility of National Guard on their streets. So maybe Trump.
Who the fuck would feel comfortable about the military roaming the streets? That is a fucking ridiculous take. You know what? I'm gonna rewind it. I'm gonna post this as a clip because this is such a fucking dog shit take that I want people to realize this. All right.
Actually ask the people that live in the police. If you feel the police is under-resourced and ineffective and is not protecting you, then I think people actually have rather liked the visibility of members of the National Guard on the streets. And, you know, people can call it the militarization, the creeping fascism, all these things. Or they could actually ask the people that live in those places, how do you feel about having some National Guard people on the streets? They actually feel comforted by the visibility of National Guard on their streets. So maybe Trump.
Who the fuck told you that? There's no way that you're making an argument that the people of the United States of America, a country that was built upon individual rights, states' rights, independence. You know, we beat your ass in the Revolutionary War for our freedom, right? There's no way you're going to argue that the people of the United States of America want the military to be roaming the streets. That is no way you're making that fucking argument. We've reached a point where MAGA's bullshit is now arguing against the rights of the people. That this is what they're telling you. This is good for you. This is in your best interest. Just let it happen. Just let it happen. That's exactly what's happening right now. How do you create a military state? You say that this is for your own protection. That's how you do it. That's how you do it. And he's gonna have English-speaking twats like Piers Morgan tell you right in your face that this is what you want. That's so based.
Like law enforcement are criminals. That's the reality.
Right. And Piers,
military's
these are
not
just
law
politicians.
enforcement.
Pretty
These are just politicians that are running their mouth. Just like Black Lives Matter when they want to defund the police. You ask people that live in the hood, they love the police. They want the police there. They get sick of their kids getting shot in the middle of the street. So most people, go to Chicago. I mean, go to DC. Remember when they were protesting in DC? A bunch of white people. You know, the majority of DC population is black. None of the black people are out there protesting. It's a bunch of leftist nut jobs and politicians who are pushing this agenda.
You know why there's a reason why he switched from Chicago to DC. There's a reason he switched it, because there's a lot of people in fucking Chicago that don't want this shit. There's a reason why he switched from Chicago to DC. Hey man, hopefully that coon check works, man. Hopefully that coon check works, boy. Hey, you're gonna look good as a good token. You feel me? That token MAGA. You feel me? You're looking good, getting that check. When you watch your brothers and sisters get locked up, hopefully that good eats. You get them good food, fatten you up. Good shit. Good shit.
Most people want to be safe. The property value goes up when it's safe. Stores come into the community. The economy is boosted. Your schools are better. No person.
Yes, that's a common sense take. Most people want people to be safe. Sending the National Guard to protect the cities is not what safety is. That's a militarization to stomp out the rights of the people. I agree that police departments need more funding. I've always argued that they need more funding, they need more training. The intention behind what Trump is doing is not to help the people. He is doing this so he has a force in these democratic areas. He wants a presence in these democratic cities. And dare I say, do I want to go that far? I think it's important to say, when the election comes around and he has the military near these voting booths, will you feel comfortable voting? Will you feel comfortable voting? Let me ask you this. If a force is put out there to establish the law, not protect the people, do you feel safe? Do you think that the black people during the civil rights movement, when they saw the police, the increased police presence, they were thinking, oh yeah, I feel so safe? Is that what you think? Is that what you think? Some bullshit. This is some bullshit.
On earth want crime to be rampant in their cities.
Okay.
And when their politicians do nothing, then Trump has to step in.
All right, let me give the last word to Nadine. How do you see things in the next 2-3 years in Gaza, in the West Bank, in that region?
You know, I think Trump addressing the Knesset today just proves how absurd this whole conversation is. He bragged about moving the U.S. embassy to Jerusalem. He rewarded Israel's illegal annexation. He praised Miriam Edelstein while also calling her Israel first.
But he also went to Egypt after the Knesset.
Lumin came to us and with the clear need that we have
you're
to
criticizing Trump, Piers Morgan gets in because he needs that dick deep down his fucking throat. He always have to rebuttal any Trump slander.
You know, yes, he was at the Knesset. Yes, he got celebrated for getting the hostages released. That's inevitable. But he also then went to Egypt immediately, right? So, you know, I look at the totality of what Trump has done on this very quick visit.
Let me ask you a question. Oh, you can't say that about Trump. Let me stop you. Let me stop you talking. You're not allowed to talk bad about my butt buddy.
And he's going to both sides. He understands you only get to peace by talking and sitting down and doing deals.
Palestinian resistance today are the orphans of the past Israeli incursions on Gaza, on the West Bank. The number of Hamas militants, just like, you know, the pro-Israel commentators here said, hasn't actually decreased since October 2023. It's just about staying the same. So I think as long as you think that you can't bomb people into peace, you can't bomb people into submission, and Palestinians will continue to resist no matter what, because they are facing a genocidal baby-killing machine that is built on the blood of our people, that's built on the blood.
And they're going to keep getting their butts kicked.
My village in in Palestine was annexed 3 weeks ago. Not a single establishment or legacy media outlet has covered it. Betiksa was annexed. You can search this up. And as long as we continue to be dispossessed through our lands, denied the right of return, and slaughtered mercilessly, whether in Gaza, whether in the West Bank, or even 48 citizens, Palestinian citizens of Israel, Palestinians are only going to continue to fight that. That
And they're gonna
is
keep
just
getting their butts whooped.
human nature. That is just human nature.
All right, we will
They're gonna
see.
keep getting their
I-
butts
Sorry,
whooped.
before we go, Piers,
Yeah.
I want to remind you that you had Nardine and I on right after October 7th.
I remember, yeah.
Off the bat, you asked her, do you condemn October 7th? She said no. She hardly condemned that.
Okay, we're done. Yeah. Shout out Destiny. Piers Morgan is a cocksucker, and we move.